In the small coastal town of Dune Bay, there was a story that had been whispered through generations, a story about a love that bloomed as unexpectedly as the first rain of spring. Lily Alden was the town's bookstore owner. She had inherited it from her grandmother, a quaint little shop that smelled of old paper and fresh ink. The bookstore was her sanctuary, the place where she felt most alive, surrounded by the stories of others, their hopes, dreams, and fantasies. Lily was a quiet soul, with a soft smile and an unspoken kindness that made her well loved by the townsfolk. But there was always a quiet longing in her eyes, as though someone was missing from her life. One evening, just as the sun began to dip below the horizon, casting an orange glow over the sea, a man walked into the bookstore. His name was Ethan Carter. He had only recently moved to Dune Bay, a writer looking for inspiration and peace. He wasn't like the other people in the town. He didn't seem to be in a rush, didn't speak too much, and carried an aura of mystery about him. His dark hair fell messily over his forehead, and his deep green eyes had a way of catching the light, making him seem both distant and alluring at the same time. That evening, Ethan wandered through the aisles of the bookstore, touching the spines of books like an artist admiring his favorite canvas. Lily noticed him immediately, as she always noticed people who didn't belong to the usual crowd of the town. There was something different about him, a restlessness, a story waiting to be told. Their eyes met across the room, and for a moment everything around them faded. The world held its breath. Lily felt her heart beat a little faster, a sensation she hadn't experienced in years. "Can I help you find something?" she asked, her voice soft but warm. Ethan looked at her, studying her face, then smiled faintly. "I'm looking for something to inspire me," he said, his voice low like a song. "Something that speaks of love, but not the usual kind. Something deeper." Lily hesitated for a moment, then led him to a section of poetry, where the words of Pablo Neruda, Rumi, and Emily Dickinson danced off the pages. She handed him a collection of poems that always made her heart ache in the best way. "This one," she said softly. "It's about finding love when you least expect it." Ethan took the book from her, his fingers brushing against hers just for a second. It was like electricity had shot through her veins, and her breath caught in her chest. She quickly looked away, trying to shake off the strange feeling that had enveloped her. As Ethan made his purchase and left, he turned around just before stepping out the door. "I'll come back for more," he said, his voice carrying a promise. Lily smiled, though her heart was already racing. She couldn't explain it, but something inside her knew that this was the beginning of something extraordinary. Over the next few weeks, Ethan visited the bookstore often. He would sit by the window, writing for hours, only breaking his focus to exchange a few words with Lily. She found herself looking forward to these moments, her mind always wandering to the man with the deep green eyes and the mysterious smile. One evening, after a particularly quiet day at the store, Ethan asked if she wanted to join him for a walk along the beach. It was a simple offer, but the way he asked, almost as if it was the most natural thing in the world, made Lily's heart flutter. The sun was setting as they walked side by side along the shoreline, the sand cool beneath their feet. The sound of the waves crashing against the rocks filled the air, and the world seemed to shrink to just the two of them. As they talked, Ethan revealed bits of his past, his travels, his family, his love for writing. He was an open book, yet there was a quiet sadness behind his words, a pain he didn't quite reveal but that Lily could sense. "I used to believe that love was something you could chase, something you could control," he said quietly, staring out at the endless horizon. "But now, I think love finds you when you're not looking for it." Lily stopped walking, turning to face him. "And have you found it?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. Ethan looked at her, his green eyes piercing into her soul. "I think I've just begun to," he said. The air between them seemed to thicken, and in that moment, Lily felt as though time had stopped. She wanted to say something but words seemed inadequate. Instead, she reached out, her hand trembling slightly, and placed it on his arm. Ethan's gaze softened, and before she knew it, He was leaning in, his lips brushing gently against hers. The kiss was slow, tender, as though they were both savoring the moment. When they finally pulled away, their foreheads rested against each other, and Lily could feel his breath mingling with hers. "I think I've been waiting for you," she whispered. Ethan smiled, his thumb gently tracing the back of her hand. "I think I've been waiting for you too." Days turned into weeks, and their connection deepened. Ethan would write in the bookstore, and Lily would sit beside him, reading her favorite novels. They would share quiet dinners at her cottage by the sea, and on nights when the moon was full, they would walk hand in hand along the beach, talking about everything and nothing. But as time passed, Lily realized that Ethan was hiding something. He wasn't completely open with her about his past, and there were moments when he seemed distant, as though his mind was somewhere far away. One night, as they sat together in the bookstore after closing, Lily couldn't hold it in any longer. "Ethan," she said softly, her voice trembling, "what are you hiding from me?" Ethan looked at her, his expression unreadable. Then slowly he took a deep breath. "I never wanted to tell you this," he began, his voice thick with emotion. "But I don't know how much longer I can stay in Dune Bay." Lily's heart sank. "Why?" "I'm running from something. A life I left behind. A person I loved, but who I could never fully be with." He paused, the weight of his words hanging in the air. "And the more I'm with you, the more I feel like I'm betraying her memory." Lily reached out and took his hand in hers, her fingers gently squeezing his. "You don't have to run from the past, Ethan. You have a future here with me if you want it." Ethan looked at her, his eyes filled with tears. "But what if I'm not enough? What if I'm just not who you need?" Lily smiled softly, her heart aching for him. "You're everything I need, Ethan. But you have to choose. You have to decide if you want to let go of the past and be with me in the present." He nodded slowly, the weight of the decision heavy on his shoulders. But then, as if a wave had crashed over him, a realization seemed to wash over his face. "I choose you," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "I choose this us." And from that moment on they never looked back. Their love was not without its struggles, but it was real and it was deep. They learned to cherish the quiet moments, the simple joys, the way the sun set over Dune Bay, painting the sky in shades of pink and orange, and the way their hearts beat in sync when they held each other close. Together, they created a life filled with laughter, passion, and a love that would last a lifetime.